You're lying in the dark, completely still. The room is quiet. Your eyes are open. It's somewhere past midnight and you are wide awake. Again, your heart is not racing. You're not anxious, not thinking about anything in particular. Your body isn't tired the way it was at 10. You've just stopped sleeping. And the silence has weight. For 300,000 years, the thing you're doing right now wasn't a problem. It wasn't even a thing. Your ancestors woke at this exact hour every single night, by design, by biology, by instinct. The concept of sleeping straight through from dusk to dawn is less than 200 years old. So what exactly did they do in the dark? Most people assume that 8 hours of unbroken sleep is the natural human default, that anything less is a deficiency, a disorder, something to be fixed with pills or sleep hygiene rituals or $400 mattresses. The idea that waking at 3 a.m. means something is wrong with you is so embedded in modern medicine that millions of people have been diagnosed with maintenance insomnia for doing something their great-great-grandparents did every night without a second thought. In 2001, historian A. Roger Ekirch at Virginia Tech published a paper that quietly dismantled that assumption. After 15 years of archival research, he had found over 500 references, in diaries, court records, medical texts, literature, to something called a first sleep and a second sleep. Two distinct phases of rest, separated by an hour or two of quiet wakefulness in the middle of every night. And the answer to why we stopped explains a lot about why modern life feels the way it does. Here's what we're going to explore. Why your brain was never built to sleep in one unbroken block. Why a psychiatrist at the National Institute of Mental Health put people in total darkness for a month and watched them revert to an ancient pattern within weeks. Why the waking hour between the two sleeps was considered the most creative, spiritually significant time of the whole day. And why the thing you call insomnia might not be insomnia at all. The first sleep never started at bedtime. It started at darkness. Your ancestors went to sleep when the sun went down, not metaphorically, literally within an hour or two of nightfall. In pre-industrial households across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas, people retired between 9 and 10 at night and entered what the historical record consistently calls first sleep. The word first implies something comes after. And something always did. Roger Ekirch found references to this pattern stretching back to ancient Greece. Homer uses it in the Odyssey. Virgil describes it in the Aeneid, the hour which terminates the first sleep, when the chariot of night had as yet performed but half its course. Julius Caesar's military writings use the phrase prima nox, first night, to describe the window just after people had gone down. Thucydides, Livy, Apuleius, the same pattern, the same two-part structure across centuries and civilizations. This wasn't a quirk. This was the design. In the early 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health in Bethesda, Maryland, wanted to know what would happen if you simply removed artificial light from human sleep. He took a group of subjects and confined them to 14 hours of darkness per day for 4 weeks, roughly the natural dark period of a winter night at mid-latitude. No phones, no lamps, just darkness, from early evening until dawn. For the first week, the subjects slept 11 hours straight. Wehr interpreted this as debt repayment. They were catching up on years of chronic undersleep, but by the 4th week, something shifted. Their sleep broke apart. They began sleeping in 2 symmetrical 4 to 5 hour blocks, with a waking interval of 1 to 2 hours between them. Wehr published the results in 1992 in the Journal of Sleep Research under the title, In Short Photoperiods, Human Sleep is Biphasic. The body hadn't malfunctioned, the body had remembered. And this is where the research gets uncomfortable. Wehr measured his subjects' hormone levels throughout the experiment. During the waking interval between the 2 sleeps, he found something nobody expected. Their brains were flooded with prolactin. Prolactin is the hormone most associated with nursing mothers in a state of deep calm. It produces a sensation that his subjects described as peaceful, reflective, not groggy, but something closer to meditation. One subject said it felt like a kind of stillness she had never experienced during the day. Wehr noted that this hormonal state was unique to the waking interval. It did not occur during ordinary nighttime wakefulness. It was specific to the gap between the 2 sleeps. The people in Ekirch's historical record knew this, even without the biochemistry to name it. A 16th-century French physician's manual advised married couples that the best time to conceive was not at the end of an exhausting day, but after the first sleep, when they have more enjoyment and do it better. Prayer manuals from the late 1400s contained specific prayers written for the hours between sleeps. Medieval monks structured nocturnal prayer offices, matins, and lauds to fall precisely in this window. In 14th century Florence, Francesco da Barberino wrote that the rich kept candles to read by during the interval. The poor lay in the dark and thought. Now, let's talk about what killed it. By the early 19th century, Ekirch found that references to first and second sleep begin to thin in the historical record. By the 1920s, they had essentially vanished. The timing matches the spread of gaslighting in cities. London got gas street lamps in 1807, and then electric light into homes across Europe and North America. Here's the part nobody talks about. It was not that people stopped waking up in the night. It was that staying awake at night suddenly became possible in a way it never had been before. Coffee houses began staying open past midnight. Streets became safe to walk. There was simply somewhere to be instead of lying in the dark, and the window that had once felt sacred began to feel like a waste. Mary Carskadon, a sleep researcher at Brown University, put it plainly when she reviewed Wehr's and Ekirch's combined work. Maybe the brain can't keep you asleep for prolonged periods. She wasn't speaking theoretically. She was describing a body that, given the chance, reverts to a pattern it has been running for at least 3,000 years of recorded history, and almost certainly far longer than that. Roughly 1 in 3 adults in industrialized countries reports problems staying asleep through the night. Maintenance insomnia, waking in the middle of the night and being unable to return to sleep, is one of the most commonly reported sleep disorders in modern medicine. Many of those people have been prescribed medication to eliminate the waking. They lie in the dark at 2 a.m. feeling broken, their heart rate rising with each passing minute of failed unconsciousness. You feel the dread of that waking because your doctor told you it was a symptom. Your brain was told the silence was a malfunction, but your brain was built for exactly this: the quiet, the darkness, the prolactin calm between one sleep and the next. The interval was not empty time. It was the most neurologically distinctive window in the whole cycle. What changed was not your biology. What changed was the light. For most of human history, the night was not an unbroken block of unconsciousness to be managed and optimized. It was divided. There was a first sleep and a second sleep, and between them a waking hour that belonged entirely to the dark, to stillness, to reflection, to the strange half-dream state that prolactin produces in a brain that has been given permission to rest without sleeping. That interval was not a gap in rest. It was the point. We built brighter nights and filled them, and the interval closed. What remained was a single consolidated block of sleep that the body still doesn't quite believe in, and a diagnosis for everyone who wakes at midnight and finds themselves, for reasons they can't explain. The disorder was never the waking. The disorder was deciding that darkness had to be defeated.